One thing that has gotten me the farthest in my garden, and when I say the farthest, I mean it has taught me to grow more. It has given me more opportunities than anything else by far, is something that we're going to undertake today, and it's a little nerve-wracking. What we're going to do today is we're actually planting a piece of the greenhouse a month ahead of schedule, and I'll tell you why in just a second. And we want to match what's going in here with what's going on in this bed. So for all of those who are impatient and just want to know and get out of here, what we're talking about is taking a chance, but what I want to talk about is the calculated chance that I'm taking and the reason why I'm taking it. So I never advocate to haphazardly do something or test something out, but building this knowledge is really important. So we came over here today and we planted 2 rows of potatoes. So they're in this bed right here. Well, 2 in a piece, or just short of 2 rows, because I wanted to let this Seminole pumpkin that's doing its thing continue to do it. So we're just gonna let it go. But we do have 2 rows right here of potatoes. It is currently August 28th today. And it is, let's see, we have 73 days, I believe, 75 days until our first frost date. Okay, so where does that lead us right here in this conversation? So for this bed right here, it could be a really close call, right? We probably are gonna have to employ some kind of cover to protect them, stuff like that, to finish out the potatoes. Whereas here in the greenhouse, we don't have to do that. It's already got the cover on it, but the heat is gonna be the issue here. So this is gonna be a little bit of a combo. We're gonna talk about the greenhouse a little bit and just kind of start introducing it. I can go into more detail later in a specific video for it, but we're gonna put 2 rows of potatoes in here, and I've dug 1 row so far. I've got to do a couple things to this dirt here to get it ready to go and all that stuff. But like I said, keeping it cool is going to be an issue. So we've got the louver window in here. We've got this window here, the door open as well. I also have a fan that goes up here that I had to take down because I had to adjust, which will suck the hot air out. So we'll do that. Is it going to get too hot in here? Absolutely is. The average temperature when it's in the 90s here is in the greenhouse is about 108 degrees, which can be really hot. But there's a little something special going on right now that we want to take advantage of. And there's a polar Arctic cool air mass that's sitting over the eastern portion of the United States. And it looks like it's going to be here for a couple weeks. So does that, you hear polar and you're like, oh, it's going to be freezing. Well, for us, it's not freezing at all. As a matter of fact, it's a lot warmer than I thought it would be, but still, we're going to take advantage of that. And so what that means is we're going to have less of those 90s, more of those 80s, which is kind of what we're looking for here. And with potatoes, I know one thing. You start with a potato and you end with a plant. So it takes time for the plant to peak. So if we take and we add a couple weeks to it, we should be getting into the cool down mode, and it shouldn't be that much of an issue. But you never know. I mean, we just gonna have to take a chance. And if we don't take this chance, then we don't know, right? So one of 2 things is gonna happen. No, one of 3 things. One thing is we won't get a harvest here. The frost will kill it, but we will get one here. The second one, yes, you can guess it. We won't even get them to grow here, but we'll get a harvest here. Or we won't get a harvest anywhere, or there's actually 4, we'll get a harvest from both. Obviously we want both. I'm thinking this is gonna be a good way to learn about how fast the potatoes grow and what conditions they can take. A couple things that we have going on here. One, I put 2 handfuls of plant tone down in this furrow. And then the other thing I did is I put half a handful of bone meal into this furrow. And we're gonna do another one right next to it, and we're gonna do the same thing. And so that's our pre-planting fertilizer. I do have to reconnect my watering system here. I forgot that I did this, and it's kind of a pain. I screw it in, but you don't need to see that. But what that does is that moves the water from here, this line, and then puts it here into this little section right here where we can continue to plant. So we did a test last year, very loose, fast and loose test, and I was happy with the outcome. I mean, here's one of the taters from last year that's just sat in here all year. So we're gonna go ahead and stick that in the ground too. So, I mean, it definitely did work. There's a couple things that I need to do in here. Just got this cleaned out, and the soil gets really dry in the summertime. So you can see how it's nice and crumbly. This is from a lot of compost as well, but it's also a little bit hydrophobic. So we've been having the water run in here again. Now that everything's cleared out, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back and we're gonna mulch this really heavy today, this side. And then what we'll do also is we're gonna put topsoil down as well. Just because this is such a small area, I'm just gonna buy like 2 bags of topsoil. It's like $5, and just pour it on, and that'll help rejuvenate the soil, give it a little bit more of that texture that I want in order to absorb some more water and transfer nutrients around. All right, so they're all planted now, they're buried, and one thing I had to do is I had to make sure that I planted each potato next to a drip emitter so they would get enough water, and that cooling power from the water would help with the soil. How much did we do this for in our garden as far as like taking chances to, you know, to help us progress faster? I don't even want to really say faster because nothing's fast in gardening, but to help us really start to master certain crops. So the big thing I did with broccoli is I did 2 things. Actually, across the board, the one thing that I definitely took a chance on that paid off was planting earlier, and we are going to be talking a lot about that over the next couple months into the next season and all that, getting people prepared to start planting out for their spring gardens and stuff like that. But just so you know, we're not even going to mention it every time, but that's basically the gist of it. So the big thing with the broccoli other than that was fertilization. Lots and lots of nitrogen have really helped, and we gave it a feeding the other day, and we can already see everything's growing and is perked up and is looking really good. So that's really helped here. If you've been a listener to the channel or the Backyard Gardens podcast for any amount of time, you know that we have had a relationship with Brussels sprouts that has been very difficult. And we have taken a number of chances with our Brussels sprouts. And one thing that we're doing this year is I've eliminated a row. So we had 4 rows last year, and this year I'm doing 3 because what I noticed was the plants were getting big. They were producing, but they weren't producing a lot of good sized Brussels sprouts. And typically that means one of 2 things: feeding or spacing. Now we feed enough, so that's not really the issue, I don't think. So we want to give it a little bit more space. So, and this will let the plants grow out. It should help with disease, stuff like that. What we get in the wintertime is we'll actually get white mold around the tops of the Brussels sprouts, around the nooks and crannies of the cabbages and stuff like that. And that's just by excessive moisture. So by opening it up a little bit, you may think, yeah, I'm growing less plants, but at the same time, you're actually getting more produce off of less plants. So it kind of goes 2 ways. We've got our cabbages, and cabbages have been a really good one too. What we've learned about over the years, one thing we did with these is we fed a lot and a lot more. And that seemed to make the difference, especially this spring. So we're gonna try and mimic that again. These just got planted the other day, so we're waiting for them to kind of kick in. Heck, you can even see my handprint in the soil from where I patted it down still. So you can tell we haven't gotten any rain or anything. But the thing about cabbages, other than fertilizing that we've taken a chance with, and this is one we're also working with, is spacing. So different varieties need different spacings, right? For a long time, we grew Copenhagen cabbage. I think it's Copenhagen, maybe it's Copenhagen market cabbage. You know, comment if you know which one I'm talking about. But it was a known smaller head of cabbage, so you could put them closer together. Well, we've since decided that instead of growing many small heads, we'd rather have larger heads of cabbage, less plants to take care of, this, that, and the other. So we're playing with the spacing with that as well. and just working through it. This bed's a little bit difficult because it's got peppers in it still, so we're trying to kind of balance it there between the peppers and the spacing for the cabbage. But we got plenty of time for those cabbages to catch up. One that I took a chance on, which I'm really glad, is these black-eyed peas. I've started growing these in the past couple of years. I didn't have any idea how they would grow, and at the time I couldn't find a lot of information about them. So, you know, we just got some peas and stuck them in the ground, and they've done really well. If you don't know what black-eyed peas are, they're commonly called cow peas everywhere else but in the South. So we, you know, we enjoy these, but we had no clue how they would do. But when we took this chance, what happened was what we found is they grow really, really good in the heat of the summer. So what that means is, one, we don't have to plant them as early. We can plant them later, and then they thrive later in the summer, right? So that works out good. Look, there's another grasshopper. Get out of here. Chase them down, get them out of here. Telling you, those things are terrible. So, you know, even it doesn't have to be a planting time. It could be a fertilization, a spacing, an area in which you planted, for instance. That can be a big one. What we noticed too was in regards to that, bed back here is constantly being tested, and right now we've got melons in it. They're doing okay. They got a little bit of a late start, but they are starting to spread. But this is a shadier section, so we try to tailor this to more shady, not sun-loving plants as much. So stuff like lettuces do really good here. In the spring, it's not that much of an issue, but this time of year when the sun gets lower, it is. So we are planning to put garlic and onions in this bed. So what's a chance you took in your garden? How did that help you, and how did that propel you moving forward as far as your growing and what you can grow and know how to grow? Because once we do this, for instance, this year, if these two beds produce, whatever the outcome is, we know how to modify, right? We'll know the data for that. The other thing too, which we took a chance on last year, which worked out perfectly. For the greenhouse, what we did is we put potatoes here, and then they got killed by the frost. We got a very small harvest. What happened was I left the door open and just didn't take care of them, and they died. If I would have shut the door, it would have been fine, whatever. But then we put broccoli right behind it, and that worked out perfect. Couldn't have been any better. And another thing is we started our broccoli seeds in the greenhouse in trays and then planted them out, and they did better than any other broccoli plant I've ever grown. They look stronger, they produced bigger. So, you know, we took that chance, and we're doing it again this year. This year we're going all in, and I'm planning to only start my broccoli seeds in the greenhouse.